In today's video, I'm going to review greatest common factor versus least common multiple. Okay, so for the greatest common factor, factors divide evenly with no remainders. So that's how you remember this one. Factors divide evenly with no remainders. For this one, multiply by integers or skip count. So this is how you get the answer for the least common multiple. You multiply or skip count. So let's work on one here. We have 4 and 5, and the GCF for 4 and 5. Let's start with 4. So the tip to remember is think what goes into or divides into 4 and 5. Okay, so that's how you remember it. So you multiply out what two numbers give you 4, 1 and 4, or what goes into 4. 1 goes into 4 and 4 goes also into 4. So those two are a pair, okay? So that's why we put them together like that. And the other two numbers that multiply together to give you 4 are 2 and 2. And you don't have to put that in twice. You could just leave it as 1. Now let's work on 5, okay? So the two numbers that multiply together to give you 5 are 1 and 5. Or what goes into 5? 1 goes into 5 and 5 goes into 5. And that's it. There's no other numbers that go into it. Okay, so those are a pair. So the greatest common factor is the largest whole number that is a factor of both the numbers. So the only number here we see that is in common is the 1. The 1 is the 1. So the GCF is 1 for this one. Now let's go to this side and do the least common multiple for 4. Okay, so all we do is we take 4 and we multiply it. We skip count. 4 times 1, 4 times 2 is 8. Then 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. And 4 times 5 is 20. And I think that's enough. So now we could do the same for 5. So we start with 1. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. So the least common multiple is the smallest whole number that is a multiple of both the numbers. So the only one that I see here is 20, okay? So that is the LCM for 4 and 5. And that's it. That's how you, oh, I think there's a little bit more of a lesson here. Oh, yes, I have some more that I want to do. 12 and 9. So let's work on those ones. So the greatest common factor for 12, we start with what goes into 12. Well, 1 goes into 12 and 12 goes into 12, and those are a pair. And then what else goes into 12? Well, 2 goes into 12 and 6 goes into 12, and those are a pair. You don't always have to put the green line underneath. I was just using that for teaching purposes. And then finally, 3 and 4 go into 12, right? So now let's work on 9. 1 goes into 9 and 9 goes into 9. And 3 goes into 9, right? So the ones that are common are 1 and 3, but we want the greatest, right? So the greatest is 1 is not the greatest, so 3 is the GCF for 12 and 9. Let's try the LCM for 12 and 9. So let's start with 12, and we just skip count, right? 12 times 1, 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 3 is 36. 12 times 4 is 48. So now let's do 9. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. And 9 times 4 is 36. And here is our lowest common multiple. This is the one. So there might be others, okay? If you continue this, if you keep going and do the multiples, there may be others that are in common, but we're looking for the lowest common, the least common. So there may be others in common, but we want the lowest, and this is it. So we just stop there. So that's the difference between greatest common factor and least common multiple. And don't worry if you don't understand that right away. You could rewatch the video as well. Take a look at the description. I have links there to other videos that are similar to this. As well, you could download the ebook. In the ebook, there's a link there that'll take you right to this video, and you could watch the video as you follow along in the ebook. Thank you so much for listening, and please make sure to like and subscribe.